I'm Alexis, 70. 6 months ago, I stood on the porch of my lake house, watching Leo graduate from the local high school. The guest cottage that my late husband, Henry, had dreamed of was almost complete, a testament to the new life we'd built together. It was a far cry from the betrayal and heartbreak I'd endured just a short while ago. It all started when I decided to invite my family to a lavish Christmas dinner at a renowned restaurant. I'd spent days preparing, choosing the perfect outfit, a red dress that Henry always said made me look elegant. I was excited, thinking it would be a wonderful opportunity for us to come together, especially since Henry had passed away 8 months prior. The holidays felt empty without him, and I yearned for the warmth of family. But as the day approached, the calls started coming in. My daughter, Lily, with her sickly sweet voice, told me that her youngest, Mia, had fallen ill and they couldn't risk exposing everyone. I offered to help, but she brushed me off, suggesting a rain check. 20 minutes later, my son, Ethan, called, claiming he was swamped at work with a deal on the verge of collapsing. He said his wife, Olivia, and the kids were helping Lily with Mia. Something in my gut told me they were all together, but I didn't want to believe it. The final blow came for my youngest son, Ryan. He said his car had broken down and he was stranded. 3 children, 3 excuses, all within an hour. I was devastated, but I'd already paid for the reservation, and I couldn't bear the thought of sitting alone in my apartment. So I drove to the restaurant. The restaurant was everything I'd hoped for: warm, elegant, and filled with families celebrating. The hostess looked at me with pity as I explained that I'd be dining alone at a table for 6. I ordered a bottle of the Merlot that Henry loved and some expensive appetizers, trying to fill the empty space with food. Then, I saw a family at the next table, 3 generations laughing and sharing stories. The grandmother was the center of their world, and I couldn't hold back my tears. That's when Leo burst through the doors. His 18-year-old face was flushed, and he was out of breath, like he'd been running for miles. "Grandma Alexis," he called out, his voice carrying across the restaurant. He weaved through the tables and reached me. In his hand was a thick manila envelope. "I had to find you," he said, his voice cracking. "They're all together at Bella's, just a few blocks from here. They've been planning this for weeks." My knees went weak as I sank back into my chair. He handed me the envelope and said it was from Henry's lawyer. "Grandpa left everything to you, Grandma. The house upstate, the investments." "But there's more," he said, his voice dropping to a whisper. He pulled out a DNA test from the envelope. "I'm not really your grandson, Grandma. Mom adopted me when I was 3, and she never told you the truth. She's been using me to get money from you and Grandpa." I felt like my world was crashing down around me. All those years, I'd been so generous, writing checks for Leo's school, clothes, and activities. I'd thought I was helping my grandson, but it was all a lie. Leo told me the whole story. They'd gone to the lawyer's office for what they thought was a family meeting about my future. When the lawyer started reading the will, my children's confident smiles faded. They'd been under the impression that Henry was leaving most of his estate to them. Lily had plans to renovate the upstate house. Ethan wanted to use the investments for his business, and Ryan hoped to sell some assets to pay off his debts. But Henry had been one step ahead. He'd hired a private investigator 20 months ago when he started to suspect something was amiss with my children's financial requests. The investigator had gathered evidence: photographs of Lily coming out of a high and spa after complaining about not being able to afford Leo's school supplies, and Ethan at an expensive restaurant while borrowing money from me for an alleged medical emergency. There were also audio recordings of family meetings where my children tried to convince Henry that I was becoming forgetful and needed their help with my finances. They painted a picture of me as a helpless old woman, but Henry saw through their lies. He'd created a detailed protection plan. Any heir who challenged the will or tried to have me declared incompetent would forfeit their claim to the estate, and their portion would go directly to me. He'd also set up a trust to safeguard my assets if there were any challenges. In Henry's study at the upstate house, I found a letter he'd written for me. He apologized for not being able to protect me from the pain of discovering my children's true nature, but he'd done everything out of love for me. He reminded me that I wasn't responsible for their choices and I should surround myself with people who truly loved me. He'd left some additional funds for Leo's education and a deed to the lot next to the house, which he'd bought with the dream of building a guest cottage for our 50th anniversary. After reading the letter, I knew it was time to take a stand. I made 3 phone calls to my children, ending 45 years of being taken for granted. Lily cried, Ethan was angry, and Ryan was the most honest, admitting they'd made a mistake. But I wasn't going to let them back into my life easily. In the months that followed, they tried various tactics, sending flowers, showing up unannounced. But I stood firm. Leo thrived without the pressure of being a manipulative tool. He was accepted into art school with a partial scholarship, and Henry's education fund covered the rest. Now, as I sit on the porch, watching the sunset over the lake with Leo, Margaret, our neighbor, and Dr. Morrison, I know that I've finally found the family I've always wanted. Family isn't about blood. It's about love, choice, and showing up when it matters. I'm grateful for Henry's foresight and the new life we've built. I'm also curious about you. What would you do if you were in my place? Have you ever experienced something similar?
Comment Bilo?